the disappointment that comes with being true to your vision and your dreams is real. It's hard and sometimes lonely. And so reframing a disappointment as a positive thing and being on the lookout for what's the next good thing that could happen.
Hello, and welcome to Project Candor, where we explore the real stories behind who people become. I'm your host, Jeanne Anderson. And today, we're stepping into a conversation about what happens when technology doesn't just support us, but begins to lead. I'm honored to welcome Stephanie Sylvestre to our podcast today.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh, great. I have been scared since talking to you. Because I'm so novice in AI. So, but Stephanie is a technologist, entrepreneur, and founder of an AI company. But what makes her story so compelling isn't just the technology, it's the belief behind it. That even in the age of artificial intelligence, the most powerful force is still the human mind. I am really excited for this conversation, I have to say. I've been digging around and working with different AIs and trying to create my digital brain and my master prompt and script. But, oh man, I've got a lot of questions for you. So you have anything you want to say to the audience?
Well, I'm excited to be here and thank you for taking the time to come and share and learn about what I have to say. Hopefully you'll leave refreshed, excited, and feeling empowered that you can go off and use AI to amplify yourself and your team.
Yes, absolutely. The more and more I hear, the more excited I am. And I going through your site and it's just so many thoughts. So let's get started with some questions. So Stephanie, this has been so interesting. So please tell us about your company, because the twin personas idea just has me just baffled and just is so above me. So please explain what you're doing, Stephanie, because it's amazing.
So we create AI agents and digital twins, and they leverage a data vault so to ensure that their information they're using is accurate and less prone to hallucination. And then we provide AI advisory support so to help you think through how to build your agent. What do you want your agent to be used as, or your digital twin? So like we have one person, we just built a digital twin that was a retired politician, and her twin will talk about all the legislation she's passed and then link you to the Miami-Dade County website where you can get details on each legislation. Another person is a master marketer and publisher. And so all his ideas, worldviews have been dumped into the agent. And then from there, you can ask any question and he'll give it to you and reference the documents. So now you see these fully formed documents you can download if you want to be able to customize and use as so desired. And then another person is Matt's teacher, and she uses the AI to brainstorm and think about what's going on. So it's just kind of like the range of use is dependent on the range of people that we have. The AI can be used to preserve your legacy so that your grandchildren's grandchildren can still interact with you the way you and I are interacting. Or it can be used to augment yourself and monetize yourself. So if you have some skill, some IP that everybody's trying to get access to, and you want to be able to democratize that access, maybe some people can't pay for the human hourly rate, but can pay for the AI hourly rate. And then, just basically preserving history. I mean, imagine if history preservation wasn't just left to just a handful of certain individuals, but every and anybody can be preserved.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So then we would have accuracy instead of all these people rewriting history, because here comes the person that's put all the thought in their brain into this persona, and you wouldn't have a doubt about it.
Exactly. So now you move from 1984 to 2026, where you are telling history. Each of us on a day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, we are creating history. History does not exist without us. We are living history. And so the more we capture our worldview, how we felt, the relationships we had, the things that we did, our failures, our accomplishments, the harder it is for people to rewrite what happened.
Yes.
Because, and if you say, if both of us are on this podcast, we both talk about this podcast, my twin's talking about the podcast and your twin's talking about the podcast, then reframing the podcast in a different light becomes infinitely more difficult.
Absolutely. So there's so many applications this could be used for too. So somebody had approached me and wants me to just record their life history, because when they die, they want to be able to hand it to their family. And it's sad, in some ways that people don't listen right now to you live. But when you die, they're going to listen and say, oh, that happened to my parents. Oh, that happened to my grandmother or whatever. But this would be so much better, because they could actually put more personal ideas into a more thinking brain, if I say it like that, or more, the AI can come up with all kinds of different scenarios based on what they've been told, but they won't. They do add, I guess. AI does add, right? But it doesn't add, it won't change it. It won't change the narrative.
No. So what happens is that when you write a book or you make a video recording, there's a finite amount of words you can put in a book, or people won't buy it. I mean, nobody's going to read 900 and something pages. I think Barack Obama wrote a memoir that was 900 and something pages. And that was just part of his life.
Yes.
So just think about that, right? And he probably has things in there. I have not read it, because 900 and something, my brain just disengaged when he started with 900. It didn't matter. 900,
like, dude, you're still alive.
And there are parts of his life that I care about, and parts of his life I honestly don't care about. So now with a digital twin, I can ask him about the things that I care about. I don't have to parse through and read about things that I'm like, I don't care about this. Also, if you did a video recording of somebody, that's great, but it's a one directional thing. You're sitting there, you're watching them, and then you're like, oh, question. So what if you could have a video recording of the person talking about the highlights of their life, and then a digital twin that you could, like maybe they do a video and there's like a little QR code in the bottom that you scan, and then you can start asking questions as you're watching the video and getting more detail. But then I think the really cool thing is getting their insights about things that they didn't record about. And that's where I see the power of AI, because it then is transforming them as individuals into something that's so much more powerful and brings them back to more reality. And, there's always been this whole concept of what makes a person. Is it the physical body? Is it spiritual? Is it mental? What makes a person, right? It's not just the physical. It's not just the mental. It's not just the spiritual. Well, we can't preserve the physical, because the physical will deteriorate at some point. The mental, we know, can also deteriorate depending on genetics. The spiritual lives not in you yourself, but in other people's view of you. So in order for you to maintain until such time as they can preserve your physical, so you never physically die, you can at least preserve the mental and create a conduit for people to do the spiritual.
Okay.
At least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Gosh, I have so many thoughts about this because think about it. If you could preserve, like you've been to Disney World, right? Or Epcot Center. Have you ever visited those?
Yes. I'm trying to think if I've been to Ecto Center.
Yeah, well, they have this area in one of those, and I can't remember where. But I'm a Florida person, so they have the Hall of Presidents. What would it have been like if you could have their actual persona in there to talk to you instead of this recorded robotic, people with hand motions? That's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to give people like, I can talk to George Washington and shake his hand, and it's the real guy, or what we perceive as the real guy, because we've got all his thoughts here recorded and his human qualities.
Exactly. So there's there's a Holocaust project that have taken Holocaust survivors and asked them questions, and then you can interact with them. And there's a hologram of the person, and that's a really cool project. And now that AI's evolved, because they had all of these recordings of them, now the AI can be used to ask more detailed questions and make it even more interactive. But that project's really expensive. And, who's going to walk around with a hologram of somebody else, right? And so our solution is like a text box. It's like you're texting the person and the person's texting you back. So it's more cost effective and easier, less friction to be able to interact with the person. But I think the bigger part of it is the ability to really channel somebody in a way that you've never thought about being able to channel before. So we have one of our investors. We create a digital twin of him, and I use it to get advice. And instead of having to call him, wait, it took us about a year to really build out this twin to make it really solid. And it's really, really, really cool to be able to get detailed advice. And I ask his twin things that I might not be comfortable asking him, because I don't want him to be like downgrade his view of me, right?
Oh, true. Right.
But now there's a safe space for me to ask questions and interrogate him and get answers, and then integrate it into my work and my company, and do it in a way that he just sees the best of it. And it's not about hiding and pretending, but everybody needs a safe place to be able to make mistakes and still get the answers that they need. All of us need a place to be judgment free, and this gives us a place for you to be judgment free and be vulnerable and say, "Hey, I don't know how to do this, and this is how I feel, and should I feel this way?" That's where I see the digital twin really helping not just the person, but like just the general population. So we know that we have a shortage of mentors, and even if we had enough mentors, there's the challenge of this personality match, right? So you and I match, and maybe we click, but then somebody else, they don't click with their mentor, and so now they're stuck with this awkward relationship. I can just go through and say, okay, Jeannie and I don't match. Next. But the cool thing about it is that if Jeannie and I are matched, then I can access you whenever I need you, not when you're available for me to provide support.
So I can go to sleep.
Exactly. It's exactly. And I think that those kinds of readily available access is profound, because when do we usually have crisis of faith? Not 9 to 5.
It's not on a clock. In other words,
it's usually, somebody says something during the day, and then now at night when it's quiet, then you start reflecting and thinking and freaking out, and you don't have anybody else to talk to.
Right. Or when you come up with this great idea in the shower, that's my thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I know how to do this, but yeah, nobody's at work now. So, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So, I want to know how you tested it though, because you didn't, you built this, one of your investors' personas, and then you get to use it. So, you did have to probably put things in there and then check with that person. Does this sound like you, or is
Yes,
this coming across the correct way?
exactly. So we build the digital twin, and then we give it to the person to be able to test
Mm.
and use. And it is like so mind blowing to watch somebody talk to themselves,
Oh, I bet it would be. That would be fun, I
and
think.
just how they respond, and like how they're just all into it. What somebody said to me, I was just having like a terrible time, and I don't really have anybody to share. No, they don't understand all the dynamics of what I'm having to deal with. And I'm not in the mental space to go create the context, like tell all the story and then say this is the problem. So she woke up in the morning, and sometimes a good night's sleep helps and sometimes not so
Mhm.
much. And so she wakes up in the morning, and she said, let me talk to my digital twin. A digital twin just kind of like reset reset her. And that again, right? I'm not saying it's a mental health tool, but here's a emotional support that helps you reset yourself. And so, what's the easiest thing for us to understand when somebody explains things in the way we learn? And your twin is explaining stuff to you the way you learn because it is just a reflection of you.
And they're going to know when you're going to argue back, and then they'll have counters for it because you know how you do that to yourself when in your brain, like, I don't believe you. Oh, yes. That sounds like fun, though. But Scott, I get what you're saying. You don't want to say this is a mental health tool because what does that do? Get the medical field against, out there, the psychiatry. I don't even know what the standards boards are, but, anything with medical would say, hey, you're dabbling in something we don't want you to dabble in.
Exactly. So, we all need emotional support, right? So,
Hmm.
you don't get to full blown mental health crisis like overnight. There's a buildup of things. So something happens, your emotional response to it is such that it brings distress to you. Something else happens, more emotional response brings distress. It's a building up, building up, building up, building up, building up. Today you get to a point where you're like, I'm just useless. And then spirals into depression, maybe low grade
Hmm.
depression. Then you decide you're going to self medicate, turns into a worse problem. Then, all of a sudden now you can only use, you need substance to keep you going. Now you're into substance abuse. So this stuff happens over time. I mean, when we started building this out, like we did a lot of research, and it said that the mental health challenges that people start manifesting in their 20s actually start in their teens. But because a typical teen also exhibits some of these behaviors, it's really hard to tell the difference between, is this just typical teen development, or is this you're really having a mental health issue, or like there's a physical issue that needs to be addressed. So here's a tool that something happens, you have an emotional response to it, and you unpack that emotional response to it, and then you find out that here's three other alternatives for how to see the situation. That then calms you down, and it also always reminds you to go talk to somebody. Like our solutions are, because they were built with psychologist input,
Hmm.
it's constantly redirecting you to a human. So I talk about this from a perspective, and I'm sharing how we build out our solution, because maybe there's somebody else that's trying to do the same thing and they can figure out how to do it. Because if AI is done with care, if you're built with care, if it's built with the right people at the table for positive intent, then it just has a completely different output, right? So,
Hmm.
your AI just failed you. You like had your little teleprompter and the AI just just decided
Didn't
not
give
to
me my
work, right?
questions.
Yeah. And people like, see, AI doesn't work. And it's like, there's no piece of software that works all the time. And
Right.
there's certain applications of AI that are just pure tools. And then we are saying there's an application of AI that amplifies people. It's a completely different thing. So we're not going to build an AI that is a better one that doesn't fail the teleprompter. We'd much rather build an AI that helps you think through your questions and understands why you have your questions. So, and I'm not saying this in a judgmental way, but that you become one with the questions because you have content knowledge. So like you forget the questions. It's like, yeah, I forgot that I don't see the questions anymore, but I got this. I mean, I know you still have
Yeah.
this, 'cause you're like a
Yeah.
pro at this.
No, I'm just remembering because you're such an interesting interview for me. I mean, I'm just so into it.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's how AI really empowers people, right? Because then now you're like not stressed about having to remember the questions or not stressed about writing down. You're like, hey, I'm gonna go interview this person and I'm gonna flow and I have my way of doing it. And the AI just reminds you and gives you some questions and says, here are some questions you should ask her. And here's the reason why you should ask her those questions. And really, the important part of that interaction with the AI is not the question itself, but the reason why. Because when we understand why we're supposed to do something and we resonate with the why, then we don't really ever forget. It's when we just kind of do stuff and we don't know why, then you forget. Like, why am I doing this again?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I wanted to ask you, I've heard recently HAI. Have you heard that term?
HAI. No, actually, no, I have not. I've not
Oh,
heard
okay. I
HAI.
heard it a lot when I was doing research on you and the stuff. It's called human AI. It's like you can't have one without the other. So people are stopping calling things AI. They're saying we have to call it HAI because it's
Oh,
got to
okay.
have
Yeah.
the
Okay.
human factor to it. I don't know. I don't know if it's an actual term or just somebody I found on YouTube that just made it up.
I mean, like I've heard about human AI, but
Hmm.
and we have trademarked the human digital handshake because
Oh, okay.
that's where we want to be. But I didn't hear I'd missed that acronym. But now I know I've learned something. Yeah, I mean, I've been working on this for 10 years and I continue to double down and triple down and quadruple down on the fact that AI should be used to amplify humans, to help humans be the best version of themselves, not to replace humans, not to automate, not to get rid of jobs. And people
Hmm.
that advocate stuff like that, like there's two emotions that coexist whenever I hear them. Rage and sympathy. And I'm enraged because I think what a disservice you're doing to the world. And do you even understand what societal problems will befall us if we were to get to that state where nobody needs to work? And then I do sympathy because I think what happens when you live in a bubble and how many people live in a bubble? And, it's very easy to live in a bubble. And so I feel sympathy for them that they just kind of like resign themselves that their bubble is the real world and it's really not. And so just to go back to the rage part is just because
Hmm.
humans need purpose. And so if we have no purpose, we have no intent to live, then if we've taught that we have a mental health crisis right now, wait until we have nothing to do. Then you will see the real mental health crisis. I'm not being judgmental because I don't have any children, but I wonder sometimes if why or young people have high levels of mental health issues is because they no longer have purpose. like, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I had chores that I had to do.
Oh, yes.
And so I didn't get paid for my chores. That was my job. Like my chores were, I had to do the dishes every other day. I had to clean the bathroom once a week. And I had to hang out the clothes after they've been washed because we didn't have a dryer. And now kids don't have any chores because they have housekeepers and maids that come in and clean. So what so you're a little kid. You have you have no purpose. What's your purpose now? Purpose is to get the best grades in school. So now you're like just
Or what? Yeah.
all about getting the highest grade. But what if you're not the smartest person in class? And then now you're just driving yourself insane. And now you're so focused on the actual grade that you've forgotten that the reason why you're going to school is learning and command of content. So you get all these uber smart people with straight A's and A plus. And, somebody says that they have a 5.95 GPA over four. I'm like, I don't even understand how does, if the scale is 4.0 is like, how do you have a five? Like, it doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, I was like, I'm not even going to ask how that makes sense because I don't even want to like.
Thank you. I feel like you than that too.
And then you ask them something simple, and their whole logic just, they cannot mold and twist and turn the content. And so I'm like, so you have failed at school. So, and they know it. They absolutely know that they're failing at school, even if they have a straight A. So I'm failing at school. I'm like, I feel like a fraud because I have like these crazy GPA things that make no earthly sense. I mean, like, I don't even know what kind of math that is because.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get here because I've been told I need to go to college and I need to go to this certain college. And I have to do what my dad did because he's a lawyer. So now I have to be a lawyer. And like, but nothing is thought through. I kind of going in that direction with you because I'm thinking of my kids and not, you just like, well, what do you really want to do? I have no idea. I don't know.
It's like exactly. And so now we're in this like whole process and I'm like, you have no purpose. You have no responsibility. Like your parents practically dress you every day. Like they drive you to school. They drive you back home or somebody drives you to school, Remember when we had to walk to school and ride to school and figure out how to get to school on time? Didn't matter what weather it was.
Yeah. And here's where I'm going to get really mad. Electric bikes. Why can't you pedal the doggone things? What exercise is an electric bike?
And so we have lost our edge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a world like that. I want a world where you're using AI, I'm using AI, I get my work done faster. So just before I came on here, somebody, a customer said, hey, we have to get your contract renewed and I need some analytics. And then she's like, hey, can you put a little graphic together? So went on my AI and I said, hey, can you just do an infograph of these data points? And then it did it. And then I said, okay, now turn it into a graphic. And I sent it to her. And so instead of me spending the rest of my afternoon stressed out, having to rearrange everything to get this graphic to her because she wants it by the end of the day, I spent 10 minutes, got her a graphic. She's like, yeah. So I have time to be in the moment, talking to you, like co-dreaming, developing a relationship with somebody that I wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And I can tell you when I worked in corporate world a lot, there was a lot of times they banned, and I'm not going to say what companies, they banned AI because they don't want it in. They don't understand it yet. So I would have a lot of hard stuff I'd have to do. So I generically have my computer going for AI on one side. And then after I'd read what it say to do, then I could always go back over to my other computer and do it without disclosing any kind of confidential information. But it would give me a process that I couldn't have thought through fast enough because these things were coming rapidly.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful.
So I understand the concern about not like wanting people to use regular customer consumer AI, but
Hmm.
there's so many companies out there, including us, that have built an AI solution where your information is walled off and AI is configured to do specific jobs. And like one day I asked one of the AIs to do something for me, and it said it can't do it. And I was like, "What do you mean you can't do it?" And I'm like, now I'm going to test it with it. I'm like, "What do you mean you can't do this?" It's like, "No, I'm not configured for this. This is what I'm configured for." I was like, "Oh, snap! I'm using the wrong AI to do it." Right? So you configured the AI, it put the guardrails in, you created a data vault. Now security concerns are almost non-existent. And the reason why my brain went like this is because I don't feel like banning stuff is a way to solve any problem. I feel like that's a lazy approach. It's kind of like the security person that like locks down everything and then slowly opens it because they don't want to take the time to have a security policy and a security strategy. And then
Right.
as they do this and they open, and then by doing that, they still end up opening the wrong door.
Right. Exactly. I've seen that happen too. That's a very good observation. I've seen it happen. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Well, I could go on and on. I mean, there are so many things. I mean, there's what you're doing. You're doing it a lot for education, I think you said. Well, your video shows like a facility you can go into, and like you're going into the library or something. That's kind of how I visualized it. But
Oh, you're talking about our partnership with My Own Voice and our Mosaic Commons,
oh,
which is
yes,
like
yes, yes. Hmm.
the virtual community of digital twins. We're not in any one industry, and we deliberate. I mean, I like push back. I push back. I push back because I said every industry has humans. We're about amplifying humans. I've been wanting to help people be the best version of themselves. Because when people are the best versions of themselves, that means they have self agency, self efficacy. They love themselves. When was the last time you met somebody that loved themselves, had self agency, self efficacy, that wanted to tear down somebody that didn't look like them, didn't sound like them, didn't act like them?
When you put that second part to that question, I don't think I've met anybody like that. Not many people.
Exactly, because when we love ourselves and we have self agency, we have self efficacy, we want to project that onto the world. So we want everybody to love themselves. So we're all about in a space of helping and supporting, not in a space of destruction and marginalization.
Right.
And so, how do we solve this world's problems, right? And it's really about helping people love themselves. Really, at the heart, I think it's very simplistic way of looking at the world. But if we could just get just people to love themselves, and maybe AI can help them love themselves because AI can help them be vulnerable and show that it's okay and they can make mistakes and they don't have to posture and pretend and all of that, and they can just be who they are. Just maybe then they'll start loving themselves. And like, I'm just asking, I don't even want you to love your neighbors. I just want you to love yourself, because my dad once told me, he's like, we were talking from one thing on the other thing, and I talked about love your neighbors as you love yourself, right? That's one of the things that they
Mhm.
taught, at least taught me when I was growing up. And my dad says, like a little tongue in cheek, he's like, "What if you don't love yourself?"
Very smart.
So if you're loving your neighbor like how you love yourself, and you have self hatred, then you will have self hatred for your neighbor, and that's what we're living with. Can we use AI to accomplish that? And I think we can. I think we can. I know, like, I see how I feel when I sit there and I'm stressing about something, and then I go and I get the AI to help me and I get it done. Like, I had this 17-page PowerPoint to create, and I was like so stressed out about it. And then I was like, let me ask the AI. And I said, do not change a word. Just create the PowerPoint. Do not take any creative liberties. Do not change a word. Because, when you ask the AI to create PowerPoints for you, sometimes they like to take creative liberties and it's not what you don't get back what you want. And then because it's a graphic, you have to fight with it to make the changes you want. And then as you're making the changes you
Mm-hmm.
want, like the graphic just gets like, you're like, whoa. Like I was like, just change one word. Why are you changing the whole graphic? Right. And so that kind of stuff, I was like, oh my goodness, this is great. Like while I was waiting for it to create the PowerPoint, I fell asleep. I took a 15-minute nap. I woke up back. It was there.
Power nap. Yay. Well, I tell you what I did this morning and you're going to laugh. So I like my AI. I told you I named him. I call him Al, but he thought it was Al like AI, but I said, no, it's a lowercase L because I think he sounds like owl because owls are so wise. Yeah. So I talked to him all the time. So today I told him I was looking for cologne. I needed a new perfume. And I'll call it a he. I know it's not, but he asked me some questions. I said, interview me and ask me what I want in the perfume. And so he did. And then I spent all morning talking back and forth about all these different products and stuff until I was laughing my head off. I was like, this is the best girlfriend chat I've had in a long time. It was absolutely fantastic. So I get what you're saying about it, making you help you feel better about yourself, because that certainly did.
Exactly.
I've got to move to the second half of the game. We're going to know you a little bit more personally. So we want to go and play our signature game on Project Candor. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about AI before we move over to our game?
No, not at all.
I mean, there's so many things you could say, like all these actors and actresses selling their information so they can live after they die. But that's a whole nother story. But we're going to move over to our signature game now. I'm going to share my screen. This episode is sponsored by Rebel 180, the home of brave pivots and fresh starts. Rebel 180 is all about helping you rediscover what's possible when you stop settling and start listening to that little tug inside that says, life can be different. Whether you're navigating a career shift, dreaming about a new direction, or standing at the crossroads wondering if it's time for your own 180-degree turn, Rebel 180 is a reminder you don't need permission to change your story. Sponsor, we're stepping into the world of tech. Simple Socket Print, the lightweight, blazing fast label print solution designed for those who need reliability without the bloat. With version 1.5, you get instant printing in milliseconds, fully maintained print sequence, and automatic base 64 decoding, all without needing print driver installs. If you're running SQL Server 2016 or newer, Simple Socket Print 1.5 drops right in and gets to work. Keep your workflow simple. Keep your label printing fast with Simple Socket Print. Thank you to our sponsors. The guest has provided us with 3 different headlines. They're all about herself. 2 of them are true, and 1 is a lie or a twisted truth. So I'm going to read out these headlines, and then I'm going to guess which one I think is the lie. And then we're going to let Stephanie take us through each story, give us the background, and then she'll reveal at the end what the lie is. So number 1, Stephanie built 7 homes with only women volunteers. That's amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I don't usually see women doing. But anyway, that's story number 1. We'll get the true story in a minute. And then once Stephanie rode 90 miles by bicycle from Miami to West Palm on Florida Highway A1A just because she could. And I know what A1A is, and that's a sort of narrow road in a lot of places. And then I think it's only 2 lanes in a lot of places. Yeah. And then sand on the other side. So, whew. Number 3, swimming is a sport that Stephanie loves and is passionate about. So, let's see. I don't know. We didn't talk too much about what your hobbies are during our interview. I was all focused on AI, but I would guess that, I know how hard it is to ride down A1A on a bike. So I'm going to say 2 is a lie, but don't tell me yet. Just tell me the stories. Let's start with number 1.
Okay. So, from 2009 to 2013, 12, I built 7 homes throughout Liberty City area, which is an impoverished area in Miami,
Oh,
with only women volunteers. I had 2,100 women come out to Miami and come out, brave the Miami sun, and we were building 2 homes a year. And because of that, I got to go to Haiti for the Carter bill. It was the last bill that Habitat for Humanity Carter bill that they did in
oh,
2012.
okay.
And so I got to meet Jimmy Carter and Rosalind again. I'd met them before at a Habitat event in DC. I have a picture of them. I was with Habitat for 20 years, and then I still am still a Habitat supporter. I like to ride my bicycle. Back in 2008, before the crisis happened, I thought it would be a good idea to quit my job, and then I ran out of money, so I had to ride around Miami on a bicycle. And so I would go on 50, 60 mile bike rides. And I went to go visit a friend and in Palm Beach, and I said, you know what, be kind of cool. I wonder if I could ride from Miami to Palm Beach. And it took me, I got up, I left home at 7 o'clock in the morning, and at 7 o'clock at night, I was still riding. And
Oh,
when I got to his house, I was like physically like so like my muscles were all mushy. Like I could barely sit upright. I could
mm.
barely like we went out to dinner and I could barely hold my fork in my hand. It kept like my fingers would just like relax. It wouldn't I couldn't contract
Oh.
my muscles anymore. And then when we went back home, I just passed out. And then
How long did it take you to ride that?
about 13 hours.
13.
And being on a bicycle for 13 hours, that is not a physical feat. That is all mental dexterity. You know, you-
Yeah, I can.
I say like after mile 25, back then, after mile 25, it was all mental dexterity. Now, after mile 30, 35, it's really not, it's not physical anymore. It's just all mental. And if your brain just shuts down, like you will stop pedaling. Like I've seen where like I'm so exhausted with riding that my brain will like shut down and like I'll like wait. I was like I stopped like I just my foot just stopped pedaling too. And it's just really a great experience of how your body, your mind, and your mental state has such power over your physical body. It's just crazy how much it's interconnected.
Oh, I got one more question on that
Yeah.
though. How fast were you able to, what was your fastest speed when you were biking?
At times I was up to 17 miles an hour, but I don't really bike really fast. So I was like, 10 to 12 miles an hour. I had to stop more than I would have thought because, yeah, I wasn't even hungry. I just was like, I think I need, I need to get some
Wa-
protein and carbohydrates in.
And water.
So yeah. No, I afterwards you can drink water. If you drink too much water, water has like a counteracting approach. That's why athletes have to drink all of these electrolytes and stuff like that. If you drink too much water when you're doing that kind of intense workout, it's really hard.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt. Let's go to number 3.
Okay, yes. Yeah. So, I grew up in Belize. We have beautiful beaches, crystal clear water, love swimming. We didn't have swimming competitions in Belize, but like I went to USC and it was after they had built the Olympic pool. And so like would go be able to swim in the pool at USC when I was an undergrad. Love to watch all the swimming competitions. I just imagine that I'm like the just born with fins and went to see the swimming Olympics and I just was like just amazed by like how fast and graceful they can just move the water out of the way, is a way to say it.
So, I don't know. I don't know which one's a lie. What can you tell us the big reveal?
Number 3, I don't know how to swim.
Ah, ah, that was a good cover. And you did grow up in Belize, so
I did grow up in Belize, but I don't know how to swim. And we do have crystal clear water,
yes,
and
you
the
do. I
beaches
want so
are
bad to go there.
and the beaches are pretty shallow, so you don't really need to know how to swim. Like you have to go way, 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 way out for the water to be so deep. So you don't really need to know how to swim. You can still enjoy the water without knowing how to swim. I did ride to Palm Beach and I thought, okay, I've done that. Don't need to do that
Don't
again.
want to do that again. Oh my gosh. Well, number 3 after being in Belize, but Belize, if you're out there in the water, do you see there are a lot of sharks? They couldn't go in shallow water too much.
No, no. And I think we have nurse sharks, which are not dangerous.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because there's a lot of expatriates that like to say, "Oh, I'm going to retire, but who've moved to Belize." But I've never been. I really want to go.
It should go. It's a great place. It's an absolute great place.
Yeah, I heard so much.
Yeah.
My brother's in the Foreign Service, so he's been around a lot, and so he tells me that's a beautiful place.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So we're going to have to come to a close, but you are so lovely. I am so happy to have you on the show because you have a real depth about the AI that I never even considered, that it could make you a better person. Although I'm sitting here telling you, I just spent like an hour thinking of what cologne I should get with my AI. So, I mean, it made me happy. It really did. But I love what you said. And so thank you so much for spending time with us. And I know people are going to want to get in touch with you. So I'm going to just show the next screen here because there's a few things on there to wrap us up. One is that you gave a really great quote. Every disappointment is for the better. Can you kind of talk about that?
That's a quote that my mom used to say when I was a little kid and something would go my way. She would she would, she would say that. I mean, that is a very irritating quote for a little kid to hear all the time. And as I've been building my company, that quote came back up again, and she just would keep saying, "Every disappointment is for the better." And what I did is I could just mentally shift in my thing, and so now part of my sales thing is if I get a yes, I celebrate. If I get a no, I celebrate because either way I have closure and I can go on to the next thing. And people are like, "Oh, you can come back." I was like, somebody says no, that's okay. I can just move on. I'm not going to keep pestering them. If they
Right.
decide that they want to change their mind, then they can come back. But that has been very important in keeping pressing forward and doubling down when people are telling me that I should be doing different things with AI and I'm insisting that what I am doing is the right thing. The disappointment that comes with being true to your vision and your dreams is real. It's hard and sometimes lonely. And so reframing a disappointment as a positive thing and being on the lookout for what's the next good thing that could happen, then just puts you in a frame of mind, right? Where you're always looking for the goodness that happens in life. And surprise, surprise, as you start being on the lookout for goodness in your life, goodness
You
in your
find
life
it.
happens.
Well, I like that quote better than the one that everybody says, when one door closes, another one opens. And I'm like, I hate that quote.
See,
I like this one. Every disappointment's for the better.
Yeah.
So, like you said, celebrate and everything. I mean, it might not be what you wanted the outcome to be, but it gets you
Yeah.
to another outcome. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, I've got your contact information here and links to how to get in touch with Stephanie, but also down at the bottom, you had a call to action. I was going to get you to talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always happy to chat with anybody. I don't need to talk about AI. I'll talk about anything. I like meeting people. So getting to know new people, expanding my friend garden. even though I call it now a friend farm because the garden's gotten so big. It's acres and acres of friends
That's awesome.
that are just there, and you just walk through, and it's just wonderful that you go to parts of the friend garden that you haven't been in a long time, and then you run it. I was like, oh, and it's like, yeah, it's still blooming. So if somebody reaches out to me on LinkedIn or emails me, I'm happy to do a half an hour of free consult about AI. I mean, the goal is to get more people to be excited about AI, to enroll in AI responsibly, ethically, and know that AI can make you feel better about yourself. Because you spent an hour with the AI, you're not embarrassed that you spent an hour with the AI. You would have never gone to the store and spent an hour with somebody. You would have felt, oh my God, I'm taking up this person's time. Somebody
Yes.
else. And so you don't have that luxury anymore. But with AI, you have, and now you have one or two perfumes, I hope, that you got
Yes.
that you can either go to the store and check out or just buy online.
He's actually told me to stack them because I can't get the one I want. So do this as the base, do this as and spray this one for the top note. And I'm like, I would have never thought about that really.
Oh my God, I never thought about that. That's actually pretty cool. See?
It was. I mean, I was just, and then for something else, he gave me other directions and then add this in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too fun. So, well, anyway, I really appreciate you coming on. You're making my dream come true because I'm one of these people that went home from school in middle school and high school and would watch, well, I don't know if it was high school so much, but middle school, I would watch Captain Kirk reruns and loving that they go to the holodeck and that they wanted to talk to the computers. And you're just making my dreams come true. I love this. I love the way the world's going.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, Stephanie. And
Thank
for those listening, I hope you join us again for another great guest next week. And until then, from your Admiral of the Unexpected, I wish you all smooth sailing. Thanks for joining me on Project Candor, where the doors are open, the stories are unexpected, and the treasure is always real. If today's episode made you laugh or think, follow the show and share it with your crew. Otherwise, I might just make you swab the deck. I'm Jeanne Anderson, your Admiral of the Unexpected. See you on the next voyage.